Hello everyone, welcome to yoga. I wanted to make a short video today to sort of give some alternatives to downward facing dog. I've seen this question posed quite a bit throughout various online forums where folks are like, you know, my knees hurt or my wrists hurt, or, you know, just downward dog is not comfortable for me. What can I do instead? So hopefully some of these other alternatives that I'll present to you today might work a little bit better for you. And keep an eye out for additional videos on sort of how to utilize alternative postures, or sort of tips and tricks. And if there's a particular tip or trick that you're looking for, please feel free to reach out to us so that I can address a specific question thoroughly and maybe even make a video specific to addressing the concern. So let's get started. So for today, we're going to talk about alternatives to downward facing dog. And before we dive into the alternatives, I just want to talk a little bit about downward facing dog. How do you get into it? What are some things to look for in a downward facing dog? So to do that, let's come into table, and you don't have to necessarily follow along with me, but in terms of performing the activity, because we haven't warmed up the body yet. But from table, you would tuck the toes under, and if you'll notice, my wrists are under my shoulders, my knees are under my hips, and I have my toes tucked under. And since this is going to be my initial down dog, I'm going to keep my knees bent a lot, okay? So I'm going to press into those toes. I'm going to keep my knees bent. And so right now my belly is resting on my thighs, and I'm feeling a gentle sort of stretch in the back of my shoulders. So here, right, depending on your body, you might need a bit of a wider base. And a wider base would mean, just sort of shifting the feet a little bit away from each other, let's say. And then to fully realize this down dog, I'm going to drop the heels. Now, ideally, you want your heels to touch the mat, but some of us, depending on our hamstrings, may not ever be able to do that, and that's okay. Now, for me specifically, I find that I need to also widen my base just a little bit by moving my hands out. So, and then this is your down dog. And then if you want to work on kind of stretching those hamstrings, you can alternate bending and stretching the knees to kind of walk the dog here. So, but this is down dog. Now, in this position, you'll feel a lot of weight into your shoulders, into your wrists particularly, and a lot of yoga teachers will say, well, you want to distribute the weight through the palm and through the fingertips. And you can try that. But if it's still painful, right, we're going to talk about the alternatives. So one alternative to downward facing dog is actually where we started, which is table. So if downward facing dog is too much for you, you can always stay right here in table. That's totally fine. Another option, if you want to sort of get the essence of the downward dog, is you can come into extended puppy pose. So basically walking the hands out. So you're in your table, walk the hands out, bring the elbows to the mat, stretching the arms out, and then bringing the temple of the head to gently rest on the mat. So this is another option. Another option is to simply come into child's pose. And child's pose can be used throughout your yoga practice as a resting position to catch your breath, recalibrate, reset, whatever that might look like. So to come into child's pose, again, you want to start at table, bring the big toes to touch behind you, and your knees will sort of make a V shape here. And all you need to do is simply rock the hips to the heels, stretching the arms out in front of you. And feel free in child's pose to even bring your forehead to the mat. If you find in your child's pose that the base is not accommodating enough for you, maybe you're feeling a lot of pushback from the thighs and you're unable to breathe properly, let's say, one thing you can do is you can simply widen that V shape, widen that base just a little bit so that the belly will sort of sit in this void of space that's here, sit in the V shape. So that's another option, right? Child's pose. Another variation of child's pose that you might enjoy, it is my favorite, is to simply, with the forehead resting on the mat, bringing the arms by the sides, and you can even wrap the hands around the back of the heels if you wanted to, just to share a little bit information about child's pose. So this is another option. All right, and then going back to our down dog, another alternative is dolphin. So bringing, again, starting from that tabletop position, bringing the elbows to the mat, tuck the toes under, and stretch the legs, stretch the knees, coming into dolphin. So this is another option, another alternative that you can try out and see if it works for you. Again, because here we're not, sort of putting a lot of weight into the wrists, rather the forearm and the elbow is taking the brunt of the weight. So that's another option and alternative for you. So I hope you'll try them within your own practice. Let me know what works, what doesn't work. If you have any notes, I would love to see those comments. Until we meet again, I hope this video has been helpful for you. Please like, subscribe. Feel free to support us via Patreon. Have a great day.